Alright, response video to a few videos. Put on the timer. Try to stay under one part. Anyway, Jedi Master Boo Boo. I guess the Amazing Atheist, the Fish Guy, and conference reports. So I'm going to combine all those three, I think, for. Alright, sort of on this morality issue, sort of kind of in thinking and philosophy and subjectivity, objectivity, absolute versus relative. Word games versus word games. Anyway, alright, the whole value equation comes down to, well, the whole moral equation comes down to value and what is the generator of value. And then you just do the math. I mean, I've said this before, the core of it is simple addition. 1 + 1 equals, 2 kind of stuff. And obviously in our lives the moral equations get really complicated. Okay, so getting to the Fish Guy who brought up torture, and the fact that somebody will have this moral absolute, say torture is always wrong. Well, that's really not the point. The point isn't to say absolutely it's always wrong. The point is that it's probably always wrong. Okay, that you can't invest in it. It's like vigilantism. Sometimes the vigilantes get it right. But unfortunately, the price you pay for when they get it wrong is so high that it blows the usefulness of it away. And so the same argument could be made for torture. I mean, obviously you can create a fake circumstance where, or maybe there might even be a real circumstance where the net truth is, if torture would be the only way to extract valuable information that you must have to do something incredibly good. Cure cancer or something. If you had to torture one person to cure cancer forever, yeah, you torture them. It's not even close to being a complex value equation. But when we kind of convert raw value into what society says human beings have to do or should do, or what we should invest in, obviously you would invest in the high probability goods, not the low probability goods. You invest in this utilitarian kind of philosophy, this practical philosophy, where you have to go with what you know and the information you have. And so in that sense it's not a complex equation. I mean, they're always complex, but I'm just saying it's not complex to say this is something you invest in, this is something you don't invest in. And in certain circumstances, a human being will have to make a judgment, because society is going to say it's wrong, and they're going to know it's right. It's like somebody, I don't know, brutally rapes your sister or your wife or something. You know the motherfucker's guilty. You know who did it. And you know he's going to do it again tomorrow. And you know the cops or the justice system is going to get there in time. And so it's your job to say, "Fuck this guy. I'll take care of business." And you're probably doing the morally right thing. Okay, you're breaking civilian law, but you're doing you've correctly done the math. And the value equation says, yes, you'll be more productive if you do what you need to do, and assassinate Hitler or whatever the scenario is. So again, the point of the argument here against, like, the Amazing Atheist will make this argument as if everything's subjective, as if the truth isn't definable, and that the truth doesn't even exist. That's the bullshit. And so that's where this thing with Jedi Mr. Boo Boo, I mean, the whole idea of this objective morality is that as long as you keep the statement of the absolute simple enough, as long as the objective statement where you're saying this is the objective truth is a core value, simple enough. So as long as you don't go to the higher acting out on or the more complex moral equation, and you keep the absolute simple, like, yes, suffering sucks. Okay, it should always be mitigated against, unless it has, that's the qualifier, some more productive purpose is accomplished through it, unless that purpose is visible, is something we can actually see. Get rid of it. It's a huge, horrible blight. And so, but that's the value here. There's no value in the universe. I've said this so many times, but I mean, there's no value in the universe without these harmable machines, these harmable entities, these sentient life forms. Without them, there's nothing. There's no meaning. There's no purpose for intelligence. There's nothing. There's nothing that matters. It could be as bizarre and eccentric and be doing the strangest play possible. And if nothing's harmable, then it just doesn't matter. So, yeah, this ability, it's not that complicated. But again, it's getting back to that thing of where does everything derive its value? And every action derives its meaning or morality or value because it's going to implicate somehow sentience on this planet. And as far as we know, this is the only place these harmable beasties exist. And you have to include the other animals, the other sentients. I mean, they're in the game too. And but there's nothing. It's a popularity thing, you know. That's what most people go with this moral relativism. They'll define their objective or their absolutes based on some sort of popularity contest. Popularity is the source of merit, and the fact is that the truth over time usually becomes popular. I mean, it's a pretty popular truth that the world is round. I mean, there's, you know, the truth does get to sink into human beings over time and becomes popular. But of course, there's lots of mistakes before you get there, and I would argue that we're still in the making lots of mistakes place. We're still the slave owners in so many respects. We haven't gotten the truth yet as a human civilization. And so I would say that the truth isn't going to be that there's some God who's wrote the rules. The truth is going to be that there's this value to these sentient organisms, and it was incidental to the evolution process. Evolution didn't care that it was creating value. You know, the DNA doesn't care about the creation of value. The only mechanism that's functioning is to create, is the byproduct of this natural selection evolution thing is just complexity, and you know, that functions to a very simple objective, which is the spreading of a life form, its success, its popularity, you know, however you want to put it. And that's a pretty meaningless place to look for what should be directing us. All right, so to get the conference report guy, he did a video sort of explaining, you know, the idea of visualization for athletes and performance, and you can sort of do that for thinking. He's sort of arguing that, you know, you could give yourself a visualization that would give yourself a blueprint for thinking. That's sort of what he was saying, I think. And I think you can certainly do that if you say, like, well, how would Einstein, you know, think? How would Mr. Spock address this problem? Or, you know, you can really discipline your brain by giving it a model to follow in terms of not being emotional or not being this or not being that. You know, and it's probably somewhat useful. But it's also not really the same thing. I mean, your brain is reflexes, but it's a little different than the muscle memory kind of reflexes. But there really is a reflex to it, even in how we think over time, philosophically. The truths we've identified cycle through our brains. Really, they come up a lot. You know, they're always reflexively popping into the image of our philosophy, of what we see. The context. They're always applying that context, like this truth. Okay, yes, suffering is the source of meaning. So that's a really strong one for me. Pow! It always pops in there. In any thinking context, pop. It's always popping. And you know, obviously, other people have different things that are popping into their focus, the context with which they're looking at the world through, their vision, and you know, because they have a different visualization of how you do the thinking thing. You know, what the core of it is, the substance of it is, the real, you know, what it's made out of, the dynamic of it. And so I don't know, if it's terribly relevant, but yeah, I mean, I think it can, as you get more and more solid in what you've established as truths, then this starts getting simpler and simpler, and you become really efficient at doing your serving thing, or doing your, the thinking thing, because you have this little, it's just a built-in reflexive pattern, and all of a sudden the whole game of thinking just becomes a matter of this clear, immediate response. You don't even have to apply a whole lot of thought. It just it flies out through that mechanics that you've learned, this context of how you describe or interact even with people. So anyway, I'm done with my time. So that'll be the end of this video. Thank you very much. Until next time.